right, everybody. Aaron Breitman, Scarlet Faithful, coming to you a couple hours after the game. I was on the post-game call with Pikel, and then it was dinner time for my kids. I have two young kids, so one thing led to another, and it took me a little while to get to this. But of course, wanted to give my reaction. Sorry for the delay, and appreciate everyone who always watches these. But, listen, obviously disappointing result. Rutgers loses 69-60 on the road at Illinois. Rutgers had a 47-41 lead into the second half, and then it fell apart. Fell apart hard. I haven't looked it up, but it's got to be the worst run they've allowed all year. 19-0 run. I think Hawkins hit a three, and then I thought the turning point in the game was Cliff picking up that needless third foul. It was on an inbounds, Illinois, and he was kind of, I have to go back and watch, but he's fronting the ball or something, and he reached in, and was it a ticky-tack call? Probably, but it was a completely unnecessary risk. There was no need for it. Pike on the post game, I forget exactly how he termed it. I feel like he said a couple careless fouls. I have to go back and listen to that too. My head's still in kidland, but that's what it was. It was a poor decision. And you hate to fault him for it, but as soon as he went off the floor in that third foul, I think the biggest thing we learned tonight, and we probably already knew with Mag out now, is that the interior defense with Cliff off the floor and no Mag is a deficiency. It's a problem. I thought Reber played really well in the beginning, I think he grabbed all his 5 boards in the first half. But there is no post defender that Rutgers can rely on after Cliff now. We could rely on Mag. You can't do that anymore. Dean is just physically overmatched by a lot of Big Ten. He can't guard the 5 in the Big Ten. Danger, he had his way with him. Woolfolk, I think, can be that guy eventually. He's not that guy right now. I think maybe they need to try him a little bit more, but he's not at that level yet. And I think that's the biggest thing, is you don't have a post defender to replace Mag. And when Cliff gets in foul trouble, it's a problem. Not every team's going to have, talented big men to exploit them, but good teams will. And so I think not getting Cam Spencer involved enough. He had 5 shots. He was 6th most shots on the team. That can't happen. This team has to have better awareness of what their strengths are and who needs to, I think roles need to change a little bit in terms of what priorities need to be. Cliff's got to understand that he can't leave the floor and that he can't get into foul trouble. Rutgers was up 7 in the first half. He got a second foul with 8 minutes to go. I thought that they did a fairly decent job of holding it together. They went to the half with a 4-point lead. So they lost 14-11 the last 8 minutes of the first half. But what they lost in momentum and they did have a flow going offensively in the first half that fell apart when Cliff left. And they were never really able to recapture it in the second half. They shot 27% in the second half. They shot 35% for the game. They were 4 of 16 from 3. They only shot 12 free throws. Illinois didn't shoot a ton of free throws either, 10 of 15. Illinois sags, and they collapsed defensively in the lane. Rutgers was able to hit some mid-range shots in the first half. Second half, they weren't. I thought a big thing, which I asked Pikel about, was, they forced 17 turnovers. So defensively, they forced turnovers. McConnell had 5 steals. He was tremendous defensively. We'll get to him on offense soon. But, they had 17 turnovers, but they only got 16 points off of them, and they only had 2 transition points. And that I thought was a huge key. We talk about, they can't score. They missed 14 shots in a row on that 19-0 run. But for me, it's what they can get off their defense. That's what makes them really, really good. And that's what makes them a passable offense, when they can score off of their defense. And they weren't able to do that. And a big part of that is the way Illinois defends the rim. And I don't know exactly what the stat is on, transition opportunities. How many layups got blocked? How many layups were missed? We know Hyatt missed that dunk. But Pikel harped on that Illinois was really good in transition, defending the rim, and they prevent you from scoring near it. So, Rutgers, I think that was a huge miss. 17 forced turnovers, only got 16 points off of them, and then they grabbed 15 offensive rebounds. 6 of them were like in the first few minutes, but they only scored 18 second chance points off of 15 offensive rebounds. So your offensive rebounds and your turnovers are creating scoring opportunities that you have to hit. Rutgers isn't going to go down the floor and pass it around and hit their first shots that often, but you have to be able to you have to be able to score off of turnovers, and you have to be able to take advantage of second chance scoring opportunities off of offensive rebounds. And they weren't able to do that. And I thought that was really, people want to harp on their offensive struggles. They can't score, but that's how they need to score. They're not going to become a 40% three-point shooting team. They're not going to become, the Harlem Globetrotters running a half-court offense. Although, assist-wise, they had 7 assists on 24 makes, so that's not good enough. Mulcahy, he played better tonight, but he still didn't play as good as they need him to play, to be honest. He had, 12 points, but only 2 assists and 2 turnovers. I thought he looked frustrated in the second half when that run really started. And, they have to do something about Cam. Cam is being blanketed right now. People are making a big deal that he's falling apart. He's not falling apart. He's not missing, like bad shots or open shots. He's not getting open shots. He's not getting enough shots. They need to do more screening action for him. They need to call specific plays for him. And they need to have more awareness as a team that they need to get him involved. They need to get Cliff involved in the post. Cliff took some bad shots. He made some good plays. He was, I would say, fine, but they need more than just fine. What did he have? He had 14 points on 5 of 12 shooting. He was 4 of 5 from the line. He had 10 rebounds. He was fine, but he wasn't dominant. And unfortunately, in this kind of game, they needed him to be dominant. Somebody, and during that 19-0 run, needed to step up and make a shot. And, we talked about earlier in the year, who's going to step up and make a shot down the stretch, who's going to hit that shot with the game on the line. And Cam did that a few times. We saw Mag hit a big shot. We've seen Hyatt hit big shots. Today, when they needed somebody to stop the run, nobody could stop the run. They missed 14 shots in a row. So, yes, it's a concern. Without Mag, they lose something in transition. They lose a lot with their interior defense. And, Mag, listen, he was good at cleaning up the glass and scoring on putbacks. He shot a really high percentage inside, and they missed that. So that's a three-pronged, deficiency that they have without him. He's not coming back. They got to figure it out. That being said, they played 2 road games against, in my opinion, 2 of the better teams in the Big Ten. 2 teams that very well could finish in the top 4, definitely will finish in the top half. 2 teams that they were underdogs against with Mag. They ended up, I believe they were basically like, if you combine it, they were 5 or 6, I think Indiana was like 4.5 to 5.5 point underdogs. Tonight was 5.5. So they were basically 10, 11 point underdogs, and they lost by a combined 15 points. I don't understand the panic online. I got a little grumpy because people like to come at me when, games like this. And listen, concern, disappointment, frustration, being worried, absolutely. I get it. I'm concerned too. I mean, this team needs to adjust. The leaders need to lead. They need to figure out how to play a little bit differently. Listen, the bench is going to be there some nights and not going to be there other nights. And, Oscar, he had a nice head fake and then a long jumper that he made late, but he was 0 for 3 from 3. Simpson tried. He had a couple buckets early, but they finished 2 of 8. He went cold. Reber got exposed defensively. He did grab 5 boards. Woolfolk didn't give him much. I think that's another thing that Peichel needs to consider is the rotation. Does it maybe make sense to change up with Hyatt, keeping him in the 6-man role? With the way rotations are and substitutions, and Hyatt's been off the floor a good part of the second half. He's been going with Simpson, which I agree with at times, but maybe there's a way to, I mean, he did change it up and put Hyatt in and take Spencer out late in the game, which I thought at the time was the right move. But I think maybe, I don't know, is Reber a better defender on the 4 with Cliff next to him at the 5 versus bringing Reber in at the 5 in replacement of Cliff? You're still going to need somebody to defend people when Cliff is out of the game. That's going to be an issue. But I think with rotations, maybe it's something to think about with how the bench is going to be. I think Hyatt coming off the bench makes him stronger. Does Spencer come off the bench? I don't know. I don't think so. But Cam was definitely disengaged today. I think he got a little psyched out. He didn't give him much otherwise. His 1 of 5 shooting, just one shot from 3-point land. He had 0 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He's got to give them more. They need more out of Cam. They need more out of everybody. I mean, Caleb stepped up in the first half. He took 10 shots. I know people don't want to see him take shots, but he was 5 of 10. He had 12 first half points. He was 0 of 4 in the second half, but he made I thought he made some really good decision-making passes in the second half. But overall, the leaders of this team have to make better decisions. Paul Mulcahy's got to keep his emotions in check better. Said it from day one. I thought it was a huge key to this team. We saw what he did at the end of the Indiana game. I mentioned it in my preview. It was a reckless move. It was unsportsmanlike. He's got to keep his head on straight. He's got to. I love him. He brings so much to this team. He is so important to this team. He kept his emotions in check better tonight, but he still got frustrated. And he's got to keep the focus of this team. That's got to be his priority. Caleb does his thing, but he's not the same type of vocal leader. That's just not his style. He leads by example. Paul's got to be the vocal leader. He's taken that role on willingly, and he's got to be able to do it in moments when this team needs to pick it up. Cliff's got to understand he's got to be on the floor. He can't put himself in bad spots. He can't pick up cheap fouls. If he's going to foul people, it's got to count. It's got to save a bucket. It's got to be physical. It's got to take a toll in some way in the positive on the for Rutgers and on the opponent. It can't be a reach in 70 feet from the basket. Caleb's got to continue to play the way he is defensively. He's playing at a really high level. But I think, he's got to look to score, but he's got to attack the rim. And I think they all have to be aware of getting Cam the ball. I thought Hyatt, he missed some shots today, but, he took a lot, 5 of 13. But he's a scorer. He had 2 threes. He got 5 rebounds. He's being consistent right now. So I have no gripes with the way Hyatt's playing. Defensively, listen, they gave up 69 points. It was a little bit over a point per possession. Illinois ended up shooting 48%. They connected on some threes late. But, Coleman Hawkins was a big problem. He's a player I love to hate. Him and Zed Key are 2 guys that Rutgers recruited really hard that went to other Big Ten teams that just seem to kill Rutgers when they play him. Coleman Hawkins is super, super talented, just very inconsistent, but he had his A game today. And if Coleman Hawkins didn't step up the way he did, Rutgers might have won this game, but he did. He was a matchup problem. They couldn't contain him. And he kept Illinois going when they were struggling, and then the rest of the team picked it up. But at the end of the day, they lost to 2 good teams a week after losing one of their best players. And, there's 6 games remaining, and it's a favorable schedule. There is absolutely zero reason to panic. This team needs to adjust. This team needs to like I said, they have to make better decisions. They have to have kind of better self-awareness. But, you come home now to Jersey Mike's 3 games in a row. They've been away. They haven't been home in almost 2 weeks. You go home, you play Nebraska, the 13th place team. They're not a good team. But, they're a team you have to beat. It's a must win. I agree. Otherwise, things start to snowball. And then, you could probably panic. But you win that game. Then you go to Wisconsin next weekend. That's a winnable road game. Not an easy game, but a winnable game. They won there last year. Then you come home, you got Michigan. Not an easy game. Winnable game they should win. Then you go to Penn State, a place they never play well, but a winnable game. Then you go to Minnesota, must win, got to win that. And then you come home on the last day of the regular season, senior day, and you host a good Northwestern team that they should beat at home. that they beat on the road. So, they could go 6-0. Will they? Probably not. Will they go 5-1? I don't know. Maybe they could. You could go. I think you go 4-2. You got to go 4-2. Well, you don't have to do anything. You go 4-2. You win 12 games in the Big Ten. You're top half of the Big Ten, probably top 5. Are you going to get a 5 seed? No, you're not going to get a 5 seed. Probably get, I don't know, 8 seed maybe. Let's not worry about seeding. Let's get in the NCAA tournament. Let's finish in the top 4 of the Big Ten. And this team's going to figure things out. Now the question is, can they beat a really good team? We don't know that yet. But there's a lot of teams on the schedule right now that they can beat, that they're better than, that they need to beat. And you just had to play without Mag and learn a new style against 2 really good teams on the road. And people that say, oh, Illinois is not that good. Well, listen, they were the number 2 defense coming into the game in the Big Ten. Rutgers is number 1. So, it's a good defensive team. They lead in blocks. They had 7 blocks tonight. They altered some shots. It was not an easy matchup, even if Mag played. So, 2 losses that they were expected to lose. And now they have games that they can win, and they need to win those games. And if they can do that and they can kind of redetermine their identity a little bit, this team's going to be fine. Giving up on this team, writing this team off, it's a huge mistake. We've seen what they could do last year. This is a different situation, but there's a lot of talent still there. There's pieces that work, and you have to have faith in this coaching staff that they're going to figure it out. And if you have any other attitude than that, that's your opinion, but, I don't need to deal with it. So I need to go eat, and then I'll have plenty of coverage after this. But thank you for watching and listening once again here at The Scarlet Faithful.